Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. Welcome to this session of Self-Improvement to the Quran series. The passage that we are going to study today is in fact a single verse from Surah Al-Ahzab, which is the 35th verse. I'm going to read out its text and translation. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Innal muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat wal qanitina wal qanitat was sadiqina was sadiqat was sabirina was sabirat والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما. In reality, men and women who are Muslims, true believers, worshippers, truthful, patient, humble before God, charitable, who fast, guard their private parts, and remember God in abundance. God has prepared for them also forgiveness and a great reward. This is one of the passages, or in fact, one verse of the Quran which sums up the pinnacle of all attributes which can be found in a human being. And as you can see, that women have been specially addressed here. It's not just men who have been addressed. For each category, we find the masculine and the feminine gender being mentioned separately. And all of these words, the way they are used, they tell us how men and women belonging to these categories, for them, the Almighty has prepared His forgiveness and a great reward. So again, one of the things that we have to understand is that the day of accountability, which is going to dawn on every one of us, and it is this day on which we will have to face the Almighty. It is this day which will be a day of reckoning for all of us. And if we have these glad tidings of forgiveness from the Almighty on that day and a great reward, then there is no more than we can ask for. And precisely this is what this verse says, that people who have these traits, who are adherents to these traits, for them the Almighty has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. And the way this has been mentioned, it shows that how the Almighty wants His servants and His creatures to become diligent in these human attributes. So let's study them one by one. The first of them is Innal Muslimina wal Muslimat, those who truly submit, and of course referring both to the male and the female gender. And this is the essence of Islam. And you all know, and we all know this fact, that to submit ourselves to the directive of God, to consign ourselves to His will. This is the essence of religion. And precisely this is what happened when Prophet Abraham, the mighty prophet, who submitted himself and his son, as the Quran says, before the Almighty, when he saw in his dream that he was being asked to slaughter his son, which of course meant symbolically that he was directed to devote his son for the service of the house of God. And the words which the Quran uses there are exactly the same. Falamma aslama, when both of them submitted to God, when both of them consigned themselves to God. So this consigning ourselves to God is the spirit that we have to understand. This means that as soon as we know that there is something which God asks us to do, we immediately respond to it. We immediately have a positive attitude, and whatever we are bidden to do, whether it's something that we are stopped from or something that we are urged to do, it is something that we leap. And this is the essence of what Muslims or Islam would teach us to be. And both men and women, they don't hold themselves back. As soon as they see that this is what their God is asking them, they just leap towards it, they run towards it. And this is something which shows how dear to them is to follow the will of their Lord. And the next words or the next attributes are wal mu'minina wal mu'minat, who are believers, who are true believers. And whether they are men and women or women, they are true believers in God. It's not that they just claim to be believers, they just do something from their tongue. No, that is not so. The Quran says they are believers in the actual sense. They follow what they are being told in letter and in spirit. They are not just people who submit to God, they are people who actually have faith in what He says. They are fully convinced about what He says. So submission is the first thing. And the other thing is to have conviction in what one believes. So true believers have conviction in the hereafter. True believers have conviction in the in faith in the Almighty. They have true conviction in all these major beliefs. And as a result, this makes them people who are readily at the disposal of the Almighty. They are at His bidding. Whatever He would tell them to do, they have already submitted. And now, because of the fact that they are convinced and they have conviction and they have belief and they are true believers, therefore, this is something which we, whenever we realize, we find ourselves to be at the pinnacle of religion. We have discussed this before as well, that faith is something which is not blind. It's not a dogma. The faith which the Quran wants us is based on reasoning. It's based on proofs. It is based on rationality. It is based on what we can actually substantiate. And precisely for this reason, this is something that we can communicate to other people as well. There is a line of communication. Faith is not blind here. Faith is not something that we have to believe without understanding it. So understanding is something which comes right, it's in hand with the faith itself. And that is precisely why you can see that the Quran addresses the mind on so many occasions. And it tells them that you are people who should reflect, people who should be reminded of what the Quran says. And this is only possible when people use their intellect in understanding whatever they are told to. So, for example, as these words say that they are true believers. So if they are true believers in the hereafter, it means that are fully convinced because of the reasoning that the Quran is put forth in favor of a day of judgment, that they feel themselves that this is something which is their own call. It is something which is the call of their own heart. And this takes them to a new level of cognizance, a new level of comprehension regarding the Almighty and what He tells us to do. Next it is said, wal qanitina wal qanitat. So they are those who once they submit to the Almighty, once they believe in the Almighty, they worship Him. Wal qanitina wal qanitat. They are the ones who bend down before Him, who are true worshippers of the Almighty, who have their own connection with the Almighty. And remember, this connection with the Almighty is symbolized through our various worship rituals: the prayer, zakat, hajj, umrah, animal sacrifice, the fast. All these rituals, they establish our connection with the Almighty. They are our symbolic expressions of connecting with the Almighty, either through worship or through obedience, or vowing ourselves that we have devoted ourselves to God. So all these worship rituals, they have this effect that they connect ourselves to God. So whether they are men or they are women, they are devout worshippers of the Almighty. They devoutly serve Him. They devoutly pronounce this fact not only through their tongue but through their own deeds and actions, that they are submitted. They have submitted to the call of the Almighty. They are going to follow His directives. They are not only going to connect with Him through these rituals, but at the same time, because people have a practical life besides their own spiritual life, so therefore they are obedient to the Almighty in this practical affair of their life. And precisely this is what is meant by qanitina wal qanitat. And then it is said was-sadiqina was-sadiqat. They are truthful, men and women who are truthful. Of course, being truthful is one of the basic traits that every person should have. Being a person who is true to his words, true to what he believes in, and at the same time, if he gives his word, then there's absolutely no chance of going back on it. So they are true to their word. Was-sadiqina was-sadiqat and was-sabirina was-sabirat. The next thing is that both are patient. They have patience as their hallmark. And of course, in adversity, in illness, in scarcity of funds, in times of poverty, when we are stricken with a lot of calamities, it is here that we are tested the most. It's easy to be patient in good circumstances, but it is very difficult to show this patience when we are passing through straitened circumstances. So precisely for this reason, the Almighty says that they are people who show patience, as-sabirina was-sabirat. And then it says, wal khashi'ina wal khashi'at, that they are people who are humble before the Almighty. Wal khashi'ina wal khashi'at, which means that they have And this is the opposite of arrogance. They are down to earth. They realize who they are. They know have been created by God. And they know that as human beings, they are liable to error. They are liable to follies, but they don't become audacious on their follies. What they do is they always realize if they commit a mistake, and they humble themselves before the Almighty. And this is a trait that all of us should feel proud of if you profess this trait, that we don't realize at times that without realizing, we say something, or we gesture through our own, it's like a gesture of our own body through which we might pose ourselves to be superior, but we have to be on guard. Remember, our gait, our conversation, our clothes, whatever we conduct ourselves through, they have to carry this humility. And as the Quran says, we have to be in humble before God. And then it says, "Wal mutasaddiqina wal mutasaddiqat," that they are charitable. They are not just concerned with their own well-being. They are concerned with the well-being of people around them as well. They are charitable. They are generous. They are kind and caring and compassionate. They look after the people. They have an eye for the underprivileged, because this is what we have been taught, that if God has given us blessings, then we have to share these blessings. We cannot pay back God for his magnificence, for his munificence, for his graciousness. But what we can do is that we share whatever we have been given by the Almighty. And this way, to some extent, we will be able to thank the Almighty for his great blessings. And then it says, "Wasaimina wasaimat," they are those who fast. And especially here, the way it is mentioned, the optional fast is being referred to. Fasting, when it is done as a voluntary act of worship, it produces taqwa. It produces, taqwa is something which every fast produces, but especially when you do it out of your own will, out of your own, as a voluntary act of worship, it has this tremendous effect on our own selves. And this is why the Prophet himself, he did fast on occasions other than the Ramadan, and he also urged his people to fast. And then it says, "Wal-hafizina furujahum wal-hafizat," they are people who guard their private parts, which means that they do not indulge in extramarital relations. To them, they are devoted to their spouses. To them, the family life is something that they look forward to. Family life, it means a life in which you are totally attached and devoted to your spouse. You don't look beyond anyone, beyond this circle of family. And therefore, this is the starting point of a society, or the building block of a society, in which we are individuals who are devoted to the family that we are living in. So, "Wal-hafizina furujahum wal-hafizat," and finally it is said, "Waz-zakirina Allah kathiran waz-zakirat," and they are those who remember God in abundance. So, remembering God in abundance, remembering him when we thank him, when we glorify him, when we ask for forgiveness from him, when we exalt him. So these are all instances. We say Alhamdulillah, we say Astaghfirullah, we say A'udhu Billah. All these are expressions which connect us to God. And not only these expressions, when we see things which the Almighty has done for us, when we see his favors, the thing that immediately comes to our lips is Alhamdulillah, which means, God, we are grateful to you. So this is how believers are supposed to be, that they remember God at all instances. It's not just the prayer in which they remember God, they remember him outside the prayer as well. And the verse ends on this fact, "Addallahu lahum maghfiratan wa ajran azima." People who profess these qualities, for them, God has prepared forgiveness and also a great reward. So may we be worthy of this reward, and may we rise to this occasion, and may this month of Ramadan bless us with these traits, and as far as we can, we try to inculcate them in ourselves. And this brings us to an end to this discussion on this verse, and now we can open the floor for questions and answers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shehzad, for an insightful session yet again. I have a couple of written questions, and we'll wait until the other participant raise their hands. It's a personal inquiry by one of the participants, and they ask if they have a maid with name Kausar, who's extremely good in home management, and their guests also praise her, that they are lucky to have her, and they tend to say "Inna atainaka al-Kausar." And when they say that, the family enjoys. So
Mm.
they are asking if saying such a phrase, which is of course from the Quran, would it be taken as making fun of a Quranic surah, and would it be a punishable offense?
Mhm. Well, I don't think so. This is said in good faith, and it's a perfectly, I mean, something which the Almighty, I hope He would be enjoying as well when He hears these words, because you're not twisting the meaning of the Quran, or you're not making fun. All that you're using it in a very subtle way to the situation that you find yourself in when you have your own maid by this name. And I have seen many scholars using these verses of the Quran to this effect. And it's just I mean, it's done in good faith. It's nothing which can be termed as mockery, or which is something that could entail sin, or and as a result some punishment from the Almighty. It's done all in good faith. But I would say that these things, they should not just go beyond a certain limit, because as we know that these things, they have to stay in their place as well. But if you keep them in their place, then I don't see any harm.
Thank you very much. Another question is about the common iftar parties where people belonging to different sects also break their fast. So should people who are not who don't identify as Shias, should they wait for their Shia counterparts while they are breaking their fast? Is it okay if they wait?
I think that if you are in a mixed gathering, I mean, you have Shias and Sunnis, it's perfectly okay to open or break your fast according to the time that you think is right. I mean, if you do so, your Shia friends should, I mean, I do know that they honor this, because they know this is how we do so. So I think in such a situation, if you, the right thing would be that you follow what you think is right, and let the other people follow what they think is right. And this mutual harmony should be a result that, I mean, you should not think that you're disrespecting the other person if you're breaking the fast first. And the other people also know that if you are breaking the fast earlier, then it's not because of any other reason, but the fact that your own belief tells you to do so.
Thank you very much. Baran Mashur, you may ask your question now.
Yeah, my question was about the Laylatul Qadr, because it would be on one of those nights, these nights in the coming days, or maybe it already happened. But my question is, because there's a lot of misinformation on the internet about, they say like it's because it's better than 1,000 months if you give $1 in charity. It's like if you have given charity for 84 years, so you can multiply it by that. So I want to actually ask, like, what do we actually know about Laylatul Qadr and its virtues?
So as far as Laylatul Qadr is concerned, what we know from the Quran for certain is that it was the night in which the Quran's revelation began. And we know from the Quran, the second fact is that the word Qadr actually means decisions or destiny. So the Almighty, during this night, He takes decisions regarding the fate of this universe. They are implemented by the angels and who descend on this night, and it is peace until the arrival of dawn. And it is also something that we know. I mean, these are the things that we know from the Quran. And other than that, from the hadiths, we know that the Prophet, he knew actually when it fell during the time of his own Ramadan, but he forgot the exact date. So when people asked him, he said that its knowledge has been lifted from me, and I don't remember. But all that I remember is that it was in the last 10 days. And when he was made to think again, he said that probably it was in the last odd nights of these 10 days. So this is all probable information which the Prophet gave us. And then again, what we have to understand is that, remember, the calculation of the Almighty and the days of the Almighty are different from human days. For example, the 1,000 human days, they make up one day of God. So it's not essential that this Laylatul Qadr comes every Ramadan. There's no guarantee for that. It could come, it could not come. And all that we are told is that we should try our best to worship the Almighty during the last 10 days, especially the odd nights. And whatever one feels in that night is something which different people have portrayed differently. But again, as I said, it's as a personal experience. We don't find no authentic information regarding any personal experience which people might have told us. But people say that it's a night in which it's totally white and you find no shadow of anything. So these are variously narrated things which are personal experiences. But my suggestion would be that basically it's a night because God takes important decisions. It's a night which is very blessed. It's a night, as the words of the Quran also say, that it is better than the 1,000 nights. Again, the word 1,000, I think, is not used literally. It's used figuratively, which means that thousands. I mean, like you say that it is better than several thousand nights, or several, I would say, nights. The word 1,000 actually signifies multitude or multiplicity. And so this is what we should do. We should try to spend more time in the night prayer in the last odd nights, and of course read the Quran, connect ourselves to the Almighty through the prayer, through the Tahajjud prayer. So all these things that we can observe. But whether we are going to get that night or not, or whether we are going to part of that night or not, we never know. I mean, this is something that you can never say with certainty, as I said, and it's also no certainty that it's going to come every year.
Okay, so that would mean, like, if let's say we are allowed to witness Laylatul Qadr and we make dua, that there's no more virtue than if we make that dua on any other night.
Right. So yes, you should. I mean, this is a night in which you should thank God profusely. You can make dua, you can glorify Him. So all the acts of worship that we do in general, if we concentrate more on them on these nights and be more punctual in them and be more focused and more devoted, you never know if you might be able to find it as well. And if you even if you don't are able to do so, remember it's the diligence and the connection, the effort which counts. So your effort in trying to find that night, even if you don't actually find it, is going to be something which hopefully will be very, very pleasing in the eyes of God.
Thank you. Naveed Irfan, you may go ahead now.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम डॉक्टर
Walaikum assalam.
साहब। डॉक्टर साहब, जिस तरह की अभी आपने बताया कि ताक रातों में हम प्रोबेबिलिटी ज्यादा है, और तो इन रातों में नमाज के अलावा अगर कुरान को सीखने का अगर इज्तिमाई अमल किया जाए तो वो क्या बेहतर हो सकता है या इनफरादी इबादत ही बेहतर होगी?
Well, I think if we study the seerah of the Prophet and his life and the way he would devote his life in the month of Ramadan, it's more of a personal effort, I would say. The more you are secluded to God, the more you are, attached to Him and devoted to Him in isolation, the better its effect is going to be. Because you see, you can concentrate more in privacy, and also there is no, you would not be able to get influenced by what other people are doing. So it needs more focus, it needs more attention. So if you individually read the Quran, individually offer rakats, that is more recommended, I would say.
Thank you so much. Shehzad, I have a recent question sent by a participant. They want to ask, how would you advise women who are widowed or are going through the process of divorce when they are forced by their family members to quit their jobs when they are the sole earner as single parent? What line of argument would you suggest that they engage with when they are trying to convince their family about it?
I think it should be the reverse. If their family is stopping them from their job because of their iddat period, then the family should come up and tell them that where are these restrictions mentioned in the Quran or anywhere in the Hadith. So you see, the Quran only says there's just one restriction, and that is if the widow or the divorced lady is pregnant, then she should not marry until the child is delivered. Her iddat extends till childbirth. That is all that she needs to do. And in Hadith literature, we do find that women should be in a state of, particularly if they are widowed, they should be in a state of mourning, because in the Arab culture, what would happen was that as soon as a lady would get widowed or maybe she would get divorced, she would immediately think of marrying again. So a directive was given that, if you have to marry, then be very discreet, don't be very overt, and it should not be that the very household that you were living in and the parents of the deceased husband, they are living there, and if you do these things, they might just get disturbed because they've just lost a son or a brother, and you are now after marrying another person. So it's like the decorum that went on in the Arab society, which was checked, and that was purely cultural. Other than that, if I mean, today women can do jobs, they can travel, they can do all sorts of activities that they that they normally do. I think the people who stop them from doing so, they should come up with any reasoning, and she should not feel shy at all, and she should not feel frustrated in any way, and she should pose this question to people who are stopping her, that give her any rationale or any Quranic verse or hadith which tells them to not do anything.
Thank you very much. Bismat Tirmizi, you may go ahead now.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saleem. My question is actually not related to today's lesson, but just a question. When I was reading the Quran, I was reading Surah Kahf. My question to you is, once Moses left Pharaoh's land, he was lost with the Jews in the desert for 40 years. And is it after that he had all the incidents that are that are related in Surah Kahf, or was it before? Is there
that is something we don't have any. I mean, we cannot say exactly. All that we can say is that perhaps they were earlier, because you see, this incident was specially meant to create more patience in Moses, who was a little impatient, as we know that when he was called before the Almighty, he arrived before time. And he was also a very, very forthright and very, very I use this word, he was very straightforward. So he was also a little impetuous, as you can see from the incident in which he actually boxed someone, and ultimately, unfortunately, that person also died in that incident. So I mean, it was like an instruction given to Moses that he should be more patient, he should be more laid back in his approach. So I do think that this was a time that before he was sent to the Israelites to take them away from the Pharaoh, that this incident took place.
Thank you. Sana Sheikh, you may go ahead now.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My question is, we just had a lecture about true believers. So who are true believers? Like, we believe in God, we believe that everything comes from Allah, and we believe everything which is important to believe, which is part of belief. And then comes people's reaction, then comes our life, then comes betrayal we face in everyday life, then comes wrongdoing of people around us, and then we have to decide whether we want to stay with these people, how to deal with them, how to live life with them. So how far how to decide, how to know that what Allah wants from me, how to decide that whether I should stay with them, because if I stop seeing them, or if I do not, if I cut off my ties with them, then there will be a punishment, then Allah doesn't like it. So how to decide, how to make important decisions in life, and what to do when it comes to decision, because we know everything comes from Allah, and then we have to make a decision. So how far my power goes? Yes.
You need to be a little more precise, and you've touched a lot of areas and parts. Are you asking this question that the decision making that we are to do, how much do we rely on our own selves and how much do we need to rely on God? Is this your question?
This is one part of the question. If you answer this part, maybe other confusions may be clear.
Okay. So you see, what we are, the Quran tells us that as far as we are concerned, the decisions that we have to take, they are of various types. They could be decisions which relate to our family life. They could be decisions which relate to our religion. They could be decisions which relate to our social setup. So it all depends on the nature of the decisions that you have to take. But the bottom line is that the decision should be based on reason and rationality. It should not be based on conjecture. It should not be based on speculation. It should be based as far as possible on sound facts and sound realities, because at times we tend to get a little superstitious, and we think that We might look at, books of astrology, and look up people who might predict the future. We might go to an astrologer or to a palmist. So these things, they color our vision. And instead of fully banking on facts, we tend to bank on speculation. So one thing is that ground realities and sound facts must be our basic consideration. The second thing is that once you are able to find these facts, then you have to do what is required of you to do, and you should do your best. For example, if you have to pass an exam, then it should not be that you are just going to pray to God and He's going to make you pass that exam. Of course, your own effort has to count. So the second important area is that how much effort do you put in regarding the area that is actually deputed to you. And then the third thing is that once you have done what you were required to do, then you leave or consign the rest to the Almighty and hope for the best and prepare for the worst. See, this is an age-old adage. It's an age-old motto which people teach their generations, that do your best and you prepare for the best, or hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Which means that once you have based your decision on ground realities, once you have taken the right step, once you have done your due, then leave whatever is going to happen to God. If it happens according to what you expected it to happen, then you are, of course, this is what you call when you say you're hoping for the best. And if something very opposite turns out, then you have already prepared yourself for the worst. And then the fourth step is that during this time that you have done your due, you also pray to the Almighty. You make dua to the Almighty that I have done my due. I have gone far enough, and now it's beyond me. Now results are something which only God can produce. So you chip in with this prayer to the Almighty that God, please help us. Or help me with what I have done. I have done my part, and I now need your blessings and your favorable circumstances. And at the same time, you make this commitment to Him that if the results are not according to my expectation, I would still accept them because I've done my best. Because at that instance, I would be believing that God has some other scheme for me. He has some other plans for me, and I did my planning according to what I had in my mind, and now, when it does not come up according to my own expectations, I'm sure whatever I have been now facing is something in which God has his own preference. So these are 4 steps, I think, which are taken in sequence if you take a decision that will inshallah help you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shehzad. That was the final question of the day. Inshallah, we'll see each other tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.